Almost everyone is familiar with the story of Jonah and the big fish. Today, let's look at the bigger picture of this prophet of God. Although the book of Jonah is much later in the Old Testament, the story takes place right about the same time as Isaiah the prophet to Israel, perhaps even before. Here's a unique thing. God called Jonah to be a prophet to the pagan city of Nineveh. This Assyrian city was known for its violence and complete abandonment of God. God was going to speak to this city through Jonah and declare his vengeance on them. Jonah was reluctant, as you can imagine, to follow God's call. He instead fled to Tarshish, the exact opposite direction of Nineveh. Now, while on the boat to Tarshish, the ship caught in a massive storm, and the outcome of death seemed imminent. Jonah recognized that this storm was because of him and his escape from God's call. And this is what we read in Jonah chapter 1. Then the sailors picked Jonah up and threw him into the raging sea, and the storm stopped at once. The sailors were awestruck by the Lord's great power, and they offered him a sacrifice and vowed to serve him. Now the Lord had arranged for a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was inside the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. As we continue on in this small book, chapter 2 is Jonah's lament to God and his recognition of his own wrong choices. Miraculously, as you may already know, the fish then spits Jonah out right onto Nineveh's dry land. Jonah then took God's message of destruction and vengeance to the people. But we see the response in Jonah chapter 3. When the king of Nineveh heard what Jonah was saying, he stepped down from his throne and took off his royal robes. He dressed himself in burlap and sat on a heap of ashes. Then the king and his nobles sent this decree throughout the city: no one, not even the animals from your herds and flocks, may eat or drink anything at all. People and animals alike must wear garments of mourning, and everyone must pray earnestly to God. They must turn from their evil ways and stop all their violence. Who can tell? Perhaps even yet God will change his mind and hold back his fierce anger from destroying us. When God saw what they had done and how they had put a stop to their evil ways, he changed his mind and did not carry out the destruction he had threatened. God showed mercy to the city of Nineveh. There was true revival here, even when the city was on the road to complete destruction. There's probably somebody in your life who you may think is too far gone. Maybe even you've written them off as somebody who will never turn to God. But God, in his mercy, and perhaps through your obedience, can miraculously change their life.